tonight with a panel of experts. We're going to solve a lot of problems. You'll be witness to that over the next hour. And we're going to discuss microtrade and its future, and how this model that we see here tonight between Peru and Canada is something that could be envisioned for 100 countries, or all 200 countries in the world. It's something that the Canadian government could develop into a major plank in their trade policy, micro-trade policy. So there's some very interesting new thinking to explore tonight, and the people on our panel are going to help us do that. I was going to introduce each member of the panel, but I'm not. I'm going to leave that to Amanda Lang, who needs no introduction, and who's going to moderate our panel. And Amanda, I think I'd like to just turn this over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to start with Joe Jackman, and really what brings you here, your interest, your relationship to this subject and these people.
Thanks so much. So I'm Joe Jackman. I'm a serial reinventionist, and what that means is I work with companies to reinvent themselves to become the most powerful and relevant versions. The connection to brand trade, I met Tony some 4 years ago and Cam, and they described over lunch what concept they were working on. But theirs stood out as profound in some way. They imagined a world where an enlightened view of business development, real economic value creation, could also do social good, and their concept was something that I had really never heard of.
We help our clients to enhance the social impact of their business strategies. Through conversations that we have with executives and entrepreneurs, there's a real desire out there to drive social change through business, a desire to make a difference, to have an impact, to really unlock a purpose to business more than just creating profit. And that's being driven by a number of things, what employees are looking for and being part of something bigger than themselves. This is what investors are starting to look for. And we've been a partner of Brand Trade from the first project in Haiti. Really proud to be part of Brand Trade Peru, and we're here as a strategy partner.
It is an honor to support this event, because I think the project reflects the interest of support our free trade in Canada, and also to internationalize our products that coming from our communities that need support.
Hey, I'm Matthew Rivard. I'm the panel nerd. I'm here from Google, where I lead our performance marketing group in Canada. So I think that technology has certainly had a big role to play in trade development and continue to grow as microfinance and sort of micro trade work in conjunction more closely together in the coming years.
I work at the Trade Facilitation Office Canada. And so brand trade obviously is very much in line with certainly our mandate. This is our second project that we've worked on. We're quite excited to be here today to share and to see the launch of many months, if not a couple of years worth of work.
And how do we preserve the success of these projects? Because it's great that they exist for a year or 2 years, but obviously what we want is for them to be self-sustaining.
I was going to jump in with one thought on the notion of the mass market, which is what I grew up with, as a marketer and a creative person, was a great homogenizer. Essentially what it did was it took anything that could be scaled and it crushed it down into its simplest, no sharp edges, and put it out there. And if you think about anything from alcohol to food products to apparel, that mass market is actually disappearing. We're actually right at the beginning of the disappearance of that in favor of what you might call the made market, which is around these things are true and real, and we don't want to polish them down to the cultures disappear, to the points of difference. In fact, we want to celebrate those things. That's really exciting. What's enabling it is consumer behaviors we talked about, and value and values that are shifting dramatically. And then pipes. The pipes that connected the people that were off somewhere, in a wonderful place in the Andes doing wonderful things, to consumers that have an interest, that didn't exist. To get to real, I think, is so much greater today. That's what's exciting about what's happening.
Add to that, it's not just the millennials that I think are pushing this. I mean, I have plenty of experienced executives come to me mid-career saying, you know, I really want to do something different. I want to work for a different kind of business. And the same people who are saying, you know, I realize that there's more ways that I can make a difference other than through the money that I donate. And how is it that I can amplify the impact of the money that I have, whether that's through what I buy, how I invest. It's really that desire to be part of something very purposeful. And that's what's really giving rise to businesses like Brand Trade, businesses that have a broader social purpose, but it's really making it more the commercial norm to say, well, what is it that you're doing? And if you're not, well, wait a minute, then why would I engage with you?
Nowadays, you know, you can go online, you can see what's happening on the ground, you can see, you know, firsthand. And so the more that the storytelling and the more that we can see exactly where these products are being produced, how they're being produced, people are being paid a fair wage, you know, these are all become factors in decision making for certainly many Canadians nowadays in terms of saying, you know what, I don't want to just know if the retailer here in Canada has good practices. I want to know all the way along the links on that supply chain, how that product came to market and how it's being consumed. And so I think, you know, this example with Brand Trade is another good example of how we're progressing along.
Matthew, talk about the way the technology is disrupting in a positive way, allowing for this kind of reach, the kind of long tail that
Sure.
we're finding.
Just echoing what Joe had said around consumers wanting to identify with the brand. I think all of our research suggests that that is exactly what consumers today are looking for. Is they want to be wearing clothes that represent them. They want to stand by brands that represent them. And the brands that succeed, even the smallest ones, are the ones that connect with consumers.
Duly noted. In terms of, I don't know if anybody, Joe, could you answer that question? Because it may be a little bit more technical than maybe that you need to talk to Cameron.
The economic model is like this. Typically, artisan goods, if they're sold outside of countries, are sold through wholesalers, and those wholesalers sell to retailers. That's kind of the system. The amount that's paid to the artisan community is really historically small. The wholesaler takes a fairly large piece and then puts it to the retailer, and the retailer adds on top of it. This model is different in that the relationship is either direct to consumer or direct to retailer. And so there, that margin in the middle, nothing against wholesalers because they're very good distributors and an important part of the value chain, but the economics are different. More money is paid to the artisan though at the beginning. That's the big difference. Is, you know, if I don't have a market, if there is a big demand, I can't command the kind of price I might want to charge. When you have built-in demand that brand trade brings, you're able to garner more at the front, and then there's one less ad in the middle before it goes to consumers. So the economics actually fall right, as versus the